Tennyson called it the greatest poem of ancient and modern times. And he was referring to the book of Job, the source of our first reading this evening. Let's take a look at Job, especially as it relates to the so-called problem of evil, and see what insights it might give us. The book of Job is composed of three parts. On the first end, it's just a brief story, and at the end, it's another brief narrative. And in between are a series of poetic exchanges between Job and some of his friends. At the very beginning, God is pictured as boasting about Job. He says to Satan, "See my servant Job? He's a wonderful man, and he praises God all the time." And Satan says, "Well, let me have my way with Job for a while and see how long it takes him to curse God." So God says, "Okay." And then the story progresses where Job loses everything. In the beginning of the story, he's a wealthy farmer with a great family, good friends, and it's all stripped away. He loses all his possessions, many members of his family die, and he curses the day that he was born, but he never curses God. And the major portion, as I said, is this poetic exchange between three of his friends. And they have the different names of Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. I haven't baptized a kid with those names in a long time. But it's in this dialogue that we discover the real meaning of the book of Job, because the friends are of the opinion that when evil befalls you, it's because you've done something wrong, that you have caused it, you deserve it. It's almost a just punishment for your actions. And so the friends say, "Job, just change, admit what you did wrong, and maybe God will forgive you." And Job rightfully says, "I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything really to deserve it. How can I change my ways?" Sometimes we are like the friends. We assume that evil is a cause and effect thing, that the problem of evil, our pain, our suffering, our illness, our difficulties in life, is really a problem of the human person. We did something wrong and evil results. People still ask themselves when something bad occurs, what did I ever do to deserve this? And the answer, probably nothing. It just is. It's what life has dealt you at this point. Now, the book of Job has a happy ending. Everything is restored. His wealth comes back. His health comes back. And everybody lives happily ever after. But you and I know that that's not what life is all about. Sometimes it never comes back. That this evil, whatever it is, in a sense, overcomes us. C.S. Lewis, a famous English author, said that the problem of evil is the most compelling argument against belief in God. That we have this major difficulty in reconciling an all-loving, all-knowing God with the pain and suffering that happens to us as individuals or to some of our loved ones. Lewis overcame that. He became an ardent believer, but he does recognize the difficulty in getting over that hump. We want logic. We want cause and effect in our lives. Why, we say, did this young person have to die so soon? Why was that baby born with such a serious health defect? Why does that person have incurable cancer? Or why did that breadwinner lose his or her job? There are no satisfying answers. But we know within the context of our faith that suffering, even death itself, can be salvific, redemptive. That's what we believe with the suffering and death of Christ on the cross. That it was through his pain and suffering that you and I are saved. And that is confirmed by the power of the resurrection. At the same time, when we see another suffering, pain, and difficulties, it ought to elicit in us, the Christian, a sense of compassion, care, love, support for the one who is suffering in any way in their lives. The problem of evil remains. It's not solved. It's not solved by Job or by anyone else. We can talk about it. We can describe it. We might even be living it. But sometimes we just have to admit that we do not have all the answers. And it's when we can honestly say that we don't know the reason that we are at the beginning of wisdom.